Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here with 60 and Me. Hope you're doing well today, that you're feeling strong and positive. Do you ever wish that you had more of a way to express your voice? You know, a lot of times we think about our generation, that the women were the ones who were listening and it was the men who did all the talking. But now we're older, we're getting to express our truth and our wisdom. And I want to share with you today some thoughts on how you can tell your story. I've got 5 ideas on how you can tell your story and speak your voice. Now, my first thing though, before speaking at all, I have a cup of tea and I'm drinking my hibiscus and turmeric tea. I did a bit of a tea haul this weekend and I bought some unusual ones, but this has got rose and hibiscus and turmeric. So that's my tea for today. Always good to start the day with a cup of tea or coffee or juice. But anyway, I hope you're enjoying it. Just sit back and relax. We're going to talk in a minute about this idea of telling our story and how we can express our voice as older women. But I want to mention, first of all, that our sponsor for today's show is International Living. Now, International Living is a company that is helping you to consider retiring abroad. They've got lots of ambassadors on the ground in different places around the world, and their job is to report back on what is going on in those countries. Really, you know, what are the issues that you might have to face? So if you go up to their website, internationalliving.com/60andme, you can ask for one of their reports to be sent to you. I think the one at the moment is on how to cruise your way around the world in the search for a retirement destination. But they do all kinds of research reports, and you just have to give them your email address. They'll send you the link. There is no obligation for that report at all. It's free of charge. But thank you to International Living for sponsoring us. Okay, now this topic of storytelling is one of my favorite topics. I really do appreciate that, it's almost in our DNA. And one of our bloggers, Mahani Zabudi, has a site called Story Sisters. And it's a great site, and it's about how to tell your story as a woman, and how to, kind of give yourself the credit that you are due. I mean, a lot of times we think, my life was just normal. I've got nothing really unique to share. But the truth is you do. You have a lot to share. You may not see it in the context of that, that kind of wisdom, but you've done things, you've experienced life, and that is of value to people. Not just the people in your own immediate circle, your family, and perhaps your grandchildren, but you do have impactful stories that are worth sharing. Now, Mahani gives some ideas on how to express yourself, 5 different ways. I want to go through those 5 ways so that you just get some ideas. You might be thinking of writing a journal or a book, or just recording it, or just telling it, just sharing your story whenever you have an opportunity. Now, your life may seem a little bit random and unconnected. Things just happened, and maybe not in the way that you thought they would. Maybe it's completely different than the way you thought things would turn out. But even in that process, that's where the learning takes place and where the interesting and amazing stories can be told. And when you think about it, all the things that you did in your past brought you to where you are today. You know, if you think about the decisions you made, the crossroads that you took, that you chose, these are things that have made you who you are. And so storytelling is not only good for the people that you're sharing with, your family, your grandkids, or your friends, but it's also good for you. Because in telling your story, you start to connect the dots. You know, you maybe not see how they were connected at the beginning, but now you might see that. And you have a lifetime of stories, and so to organize them kind of in a journey is, in Mahani's idea, the best way to do it. So, I mean, for example, you have to think about it as a beginning and a middle and an end. So the beginning might be something very straightforward, and then how it unfolded, and then how it ended. So she gives a story, a woman called Maria. She says she broke away from a relationship. She broke up with a man in her life. That was the beginning. She went on a road trip alone. That was the middle. Stuff happened. And then during that time, she changed, she learned. She came face to face with herself. She had to face her, her own shortcomings, and she was reinvented, or she rediscovered herself. That's kind of a story. So you moved to a place, you found a new home, you started a new job, you met this person and then you, whatever, got married. You moved to a completely different place in your life. You know, that story had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's the best way that Mahani describes how to tell a story. The second thing is, don't judge your stories. You don't say, oh, that wasn't important, or, well, that was something I'd rather forget, or that was kind of a waste of time, or whatever. I mean, yes, you may have done things in your life that were total, in hindsight, not worth doing, or that they were mistakes, or that they were wrong turnings. But think about what you learned from that. I mean, I can think of so many situations in my life where I made very significant decisions. I remember once in my life, it was really, I'll just share one story. I had an opportunity to manage a bookstore, a Barnes & Noble bookstore in Texas. I had always wanted to manage a bookstore. I love books. It was my passion. I'd worked in bookstores all my life as I was in university for 10 years. And I love books. So I had that opportunity. And then my husband had an opportunity to go somewhere else for a job for himself. And it meant a job for me too. It was a company that we both joined. And I had to choose. Do I request to stay here or even leave the relationship? Or did I go ahead and move to this new place and start a new job? And I just chose the latter. And it worked beautifully. I mean, things happened because of that I can't even begin to tell you all the different turnings and corners and activities and amazing things in my life that happened because of that. I still read. I still love bookstores. Maybe I'll have a bookstore one day. But, it was special. So that's the process. The story, don't judge it though. And along the way, an important thing to do, and this is Mahani's suggestion from the very famous TED Talk by a cynic called The Power of Why, I think it's called. But it's to ask yourself along the way, as you're telling these stories, why did you do that? I mean, I could ask myself, why did I make that decision? That was a very big decision. Well, I could list the reasons. And that's a story, because it's really interesting, what came of it. Now, just before you label them, kind of, what you did or how you did it, and introduce the why you did it. I think that's such a powerful thing to do. And if you haven't watched that TED Talk, by the way, it's a very good TED Talk. But try something new, or just be heard. It doesn't matter whether you have a purpose to telling the story. Just do it because it'll help other people. Now, she talks about, I think that's the 4 or 5 ways, but the other thing, to see your story with mature eyes, it makes all the difference. However you explained it 20 years ago is not going to be the same as how you explain it now. Your eyes are wiser. Your heart is wiser. You see things in a completely different way. She's a quote here which is really lovely, and it's a powerful one, which is, people who have found their voice, shared their story, and reaffirmed their values, that's what happens, often find a sense of peace and happiness and hopefulness that they did not know existed before. You see your events in the past through a completely different lens. So I hope you found this useful. Now, I've got one thing I want to share with you that is special, personal to me and to our sister in 60andMe. It's our deck of cards. It's our Aging Beautifully cards. It's one card here called Share Your Wisdom. And it goes golden with age. On the back is some thoughts about this. But this is what we've been talking about here. It's your wisdom that you've gained over a lifetime of experience. Tell your story. Go check out Story Sisters. It's a nice site, and you get some ideas for how to tell your story in a little bit more detail. Is this true for you? Do you find telling stories a powerful way to get to know yourself and to share with others who you are? How often do you share your life stories? Do you have the opportunity often? Who's your audience usually? I'd love to know if you've got some ways that you tell your stories, or what outcomes that you've had from telling your story. Leave it in the section below. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. It's been great to talk with you again, as always, and I look forward to coming back and chatting again. But thank you again for your support. Check out 60andme.com. We've got loads of new things out there to excite you, and please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that already. And there's a little bell somewhere you can ring or press if you want to know when new videos are published. So thanks again, everyone, for being here. I value you so much. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.